This is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, and you are listening to Potsy and Tino on the Potsy and Tino Show.
Whoa! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. No. Oh, okay. This is the Potsy and Tino Show. He's Tino. I'm Potsy, obviously. Our theme song, as always, is brought to you by Adam's House Cats, called The Wrestling Song. It's available on iTunes for 99 cents. Can you go ahead and start looking up SummerSlam cards so that way we can give predictions before the end of the night? Sorry. I thought to mention that before we got on the air, but at least mentioning it now. Yeah. Like I said, theme song is always brought to you by Adam's House Cats, called The Wrestling Song. It's available on iTunes for 99 cents. And Tino, we always, every week that we are doing the show, which, by the way, do you have any idea how long we've been doing this show now?
What, 7, 8 years?
So, obviously, we started as a podcast.
Yes.
But I just want to let you know that on my YouTube channel, and most of the videos posted have been us. There is now over 300 videos posted.
Shit, I have to figure that out.
It showed me.
Wow.
But over 300, which means most likely 250 of those videos are you and me.
What would the other 50 be?
I mean, I posted like me drawing a couple times, different little things like that.
That's still, just like AEW just had 200, we got AEW beat.
I mean, but think about that. Like, let's say there's 250 videos of you and me talking about pro wrestling and what two 40-something-year-old guys, 50-year-old something guys do on a regular basis once a week. 250 episodes is legitimately almost 5 years of episodes.
And that's just
on YouTube.
Yeah, we were doing it on iTunes before.
We were doing a podcast for at least 2 years before that, and obviously the show actually started in another iteration with a dude named the Turd, which went on for like 3 years before. So almost 10 years.
That's crazy.
You know what? We need to and hold on, I need to open up something to drink afterwards.
My nail on that.
So the other night I started going like just tapping one of these. It was like pop, 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 pop. It started making this really cool sound. So I almost kept that one because it kept making like the tink, 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 tink.
Well, I was watching something on TikTok where you can open up a can with the bottom of this. Just, I guess you catch it and the little thing. You go, I was like, that's fucking cool.
I don't want to open anything on the bottom and just pour it out.
No. You take the can and you pop this with the bottom of another can.
Of another can.
Yeah,
oh.
I saw it on TikTok.
So I saw something where like you take a beer glass and you just turn that like that and you just rest it on there.
Yeah, you can do that.
And it just pours a perfect beer. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah, we'll try it. We'll try it.
I'm not trying to look. I poured. Yeah, and I don't have anything to clean it up with over here. And I'm locked in. You need to get up and get a paper towel.
Drool or something. Slick it up. No. Oh, you can do that. Okay.
I'll just use my shirt.
I was want to get a paper towel, but okay.
I mean, I'm a man. That's what we do. We use shirts.
Okay.
So Tino, obviously, we always start the show with a segment called "What's Up with You."
I was just telling you, man. Work's been. I had 2 days, Thursday and Friday.
We still need to do that.
Yeah, because we do
250 episodes, sir.
Shit.
Maybe more, maybe less. I don't know. 250.
250.
It sounds like WWE where they're like, you know what? When it's time to do something special, Raw 30. Okay, perfect.
Okay. but I had to do 2 webinars and then Monday play catch up, and it's just work's been crazy. Last weekend, you had text me. You text me like, "Hey, about stars," and I was going to do it, but I was at work. Then I had that Saturday had my class, and Sunday I had to go to Hickory.
They gave me a deal. They gave me a deal. You can pay me for it. If you want to give me $10, I'm going to have it for 2 months.
They were telling me $5 for like so.
Well, it's $5 a month for 3 months.
Oh.
So it's $15 for 3 months. But we only need it for 2 months because the show will be over by then.
Yeah. So been working. Actually today.
Did you
I
watch
sat
it?
down and watched it today, and there was towards when they were like when they did the match for the dad and all that stuff, and I was like, oh, that did kind of, and I don't cry at shit, but that did kind of get me. I'm like, oh fuck, it was kind of.
So it's funny that you say you don't cry about shit because like
you lately, I don't know.
Yeah, like well, I mean, like I've been watching some really deep shit recently. So hell, I almost cried during what. So my TV right now is on Strange New Worlds, episode 9, season 2.
Star Trek.
Yes, Star Trek, and I was literally like Tino walked in and he's like, "What the hell are you watching?" Because he hears music. He hears music and he's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And I'm like, I'm watching the musical episode of Star Trek. And he's like, "Oh, I heard about that." And I'm like, "Dude, it's really good." Like, so continue.
So did that. Cole's going to go to her mom's for the weekend. So I think she's leaving tomorrow. She'll be back Sunday. So I may.
Oh, so we got a weekend to hang out.
Well, no, I got the boy, so I may have him with me at
Shavar's.
Yeah, SummerSlam. See how. He might want to go hang out with his little friend or whatever, but so it's possible I have him at Shavar. Yeah, but it'll be just me and the little dude till Sunday. So I got to figure out what we're gonna do. And that's what I was saying. I hadn't seen. We were talking about Ninja Turtles. I can take that. I'm like, well, he's too cool. But I guarantee if I say, okay, I'll take you and your little best friend, he'll go.
So I went to see it.
Mm-hmm.
I had 2 issues with it. And not big issues, nothing groundbreaking or like world destroying or this movie sucks because nothing like that. I loved Jackie Chan playing Splinter.
Okay,
thought that was great.
John Cena. I heard John Cena was.
John Cena plays Rocksteady.
Okay.
And
cubes.
And he's like the one guy that they actually use like a voice synthesizer on because. He just sounds like this, but he's John Cena. So you still can hear Cena, but you know that
you can't see Cena.
Well, you can see Rocksteady.
You can't see Cena though.
Wait, yeah, he wasn't there. But I did have 2 issues with it, and I can either mention them now.
You won't spoil it for.
No. This won't spoil the movie at all.
No.
It in fact, I will not spoil the movie. I'll say sit through the credits, but I won't spoil the movie. Okay. The first thing. Okay. Did you ever watch the original Ninja Turtles cartoon?
Which one? I mean, there's been so many.
Like the old one.
Yes.
Like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Yeah, that one. So okay. So in that one, how did Splinter become the rat that was like the Ninja Master?
Shit. It's been so long. I mean, I watched it. I don't remember. Did he get hit with the ooze too?
He did.
Mm-hmm.
But he originally was the pet of a Ninja Master.
Got it. Okay.
And when he got hit with the ooze, he was actually like as the little like rat, he was practicing all the same moves that the Ninja Master was practicing. In this, he's legitimately just a rat.
He's not like
no. And to protect the turtles as they get hit by the ooze and they start growing and everything, he watches TV and keeps pulling up like I would say Billy Blank's Taibo, but it actually is supposed to be ninja movies and stuff so that they can learn ninjutsu from that. I didn't like that. Okay. And yes, is it more realistic that they watched it on TV and learned how to do karate and ninja and everything else from that than a little rat going me? Yes. absolutely it is more realistic. But I had a problem with that because that's what I always thought.
Okay.
Right? And then the second and more than anything else, bigger problem with the whole film is that it was called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And there's only like one scene where they're using their weapons to be ninjas in the entire movie. And okay, but here's why. Okay, as a writer, as someone who needs to think about your audience and everything else, I easily was able to sit there and go, okay, the reason why they did it that way was because they're going for a younger audience where they don't necessarily want to do all the violence in today's society. So how do we do that? We sit there and establish that they learn ninjutsu, but they're still trying to figure everything out so they don't get to use ninjutsu. Okay? And I was a little upset by that. More so than replacing certain characters with different actors and different
Okay.
yeah. Loved the cast.
It had Ice Cube in it.
Ice Cube was in it.
Good.
Giancarlo Esposito was in it. And you know what I loved about it, Tino, was that the cast of the Turtles portray teenagers.
Yeah.
And let me ask you something. Every time you've seen a Ninja Turtles movie, have they ever seemed like they were only like 15 years old? Not able to drink, not able to sit there and like watch rated R movie. Like,
I'm trying to remember.
they always seemed older.
Yeah.
This time, the kids really just wanted acceptance and wanted to go to high school.
All right.
So when you think about it, like, that legitimately is what these turtles should be thinking about.
Yeah.
And in almost every other case, they really hadn't done that. Like, and part of the reason is because the most popular version of the Ninja Turtles right now is a story called The Last Ronin, which is 20-something years later when 3 of the turtles have actually passed away, and the last one alive needs to sit there and end things with Shredder, right?
Okay.
Well, the movie doesn't have anything to do with Shredder. You know, like, it's completely... Best way to describe it is the movie is made to be something that is an entry point for a brand new audience to become accustomed to the Ninja Turtles.
That's cool.
So I was okay with it. But I have read where friends of mine who saw early versions of the film were like, oh, 2 out of 10, this isn't Ninja Turtles. Part of it's because of the not being ninjas. And for like the way that they act and everything else, they're literally going, hey, even though we've practiced this, we've never actually fought anybody. So I'll leave that at that. I don't want to ruin the movie for anybody. I enjoyed it. I love the credits because at the end of the movie it says, "In introducing Paul Rudd."
What was he?
He was one of the characters. I'm not gonna ruin it.
Introducing Paul
and introducing Paul Rudd. And by the way, he is the best character in the entire. Like, I could not stop laughing every time his character talked.
It's Shavarda's text. I texted him something like, "Is this still your number?" He said, "Yeah."
He said, "Yeah." Did you say you want to be on the show? Do you want to give SummerSlam predictions?
I was asking, we still on for SummerSlam. Someone said,
I'm sure he will say yes. If he doesn't, you're more than welcome to come over here. Matthew's welcome to come over here, whatever the case might be. Anything else going on with you?
Yeah, like I said, she's gone. Depending on what he does, we might be able to hang out. Because he likes to go hang with his friends and do sleepovers. So,
and he does this every picture.
Yeah, he's getting better. Oh, he started. We signed him up for Pop Warner, so he's in them. So he's doing football.
Football.
He's doing football. for that, and then Monday the junior high starts, so he's gonna be tired as shit.
Did you tell me he's smiling in the pictures?
Yeah. And you think he's gonna listen? No. I'm getting over out of it.
he's gonna hate looking back at his old
That's
pictures.
exactly what I'm waiting for. It's gonna be fine.
Except like me, I'd be like just poking him till he fucking smiles.
Yeah, just leave it alone.
Anyways, so last week when we were doing the What's Up With You, did I talk to you about the new comic book idea I had?
Mm-hmm.
Which one?
I can't say it.
Well, I mean, like the one that's got like the first superhero ever.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I wrote me. I don't know if you.
No, I don't think I did. I wrote the first issue.
Issue.
Yeah, the whole first comic book. I rewrote it. And I wrote it to be 4 issues. I wrote an entire outline, sent it off to the artist. I actually talked to Saren, my buddy, who used to do Primitive Screwheads with me, who the whole idea with that new comic is to make it like the grandfather of the character from that one. And so I randomly got in touch with him, and he's like, "Oh, dude, that's so cool! Like, that's a great idea!" Like, and he's all into it, and I'm like, "Well, you want to help finish write the book that we were supposed to?" Because
what's the original idea?
Well, I came up with it, and then I was like, "How about you and I write it?" And he's helped me along the way, but he has all these notes and everything written down, and I don't have any of the notes. But when I was talking to my buddy Daryl about, like, because Daryl was like, I want to draw that book, right? I was like, well, I want to, like, I came up with this other idea, and what I told Tino was, for some random reason, okay, I finished the show A Million Little Things, and it was all about like two characters. Yeah, 2 characters had cancer and everything else, and then all of a sudden, like, I woke up multiple nights with like legitimate nightmares.
Yeah.
And one of them was having a brain tumor. So I was like, what if we take a superhero and we say he has a brain tumor, and he's got to make the decision because he realizes that the more often he uses powers, it could kill him. And it just kept winding and I mean, obviously in a week I wrote the entire outline for the whole series, and I wrote the whole first issue, right? So yes, it's like just flaring off, like.
And you were like, I don't know how to write anything that's stupid.
Well, I haven't written all the dialogue yet. I wrote the plot out for it. I did write some of the dialogue, and the way that I'm writing it is like the superhero is recording audio logs to basically let his son know that he loves him, right? But he might not be there for him. So he's going through his entire history, explaining, like, this is where I came from, this is what I do, these are this is all the stuff I did to make sure that Earth is safe when you're here, in case I'm not, right? Doesn't mean he won't be, but just in case he's not. And like, dude, it's deep. And again, I haven't even written all the dialogue because, like, I want the artwork to come out, and then me sit there and look at the artwork and go, okay, I can put this here, like all these different like dialogue boxes and everything, because again, it's audio logs, right? And today, after I finished the first issue's plot, which did have a good chunk of dialogue in it, because I was like, this is like where I want to go with this. So I wanted the artist to see that so he gets the feel for it. And then I wrote like the last page, and I'll tell you off air. I'm not going to tell everybody else. Sorry, guys. I'll tell you off air because it is probably the worst joke I've ever written.
Worse than the one you called me and me and Nicole, like, no.
Which we almost used.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that. You know what I'm talking about.
I am the monkey throwing the shit. Yeah. See, I remember the exact thing. Yeah. I'll put it in context while we're on the air, and then I'll tell you the joke. Make sure you remind me so that I tell you the joke afterwards. But it's a scientist explaining good news and bad news to a couple.
Okay.
And he's like, I'm really bad at this, so let me just go ahead and start with the bad news. And then after he tells the bad news, he's sitting there saying, and then all of a sudden the couple, the woman sits there and goes, but you did say there was good news, so that means that like there's options and things that we can do. And he's like, oh no, that's not what I was talking about at all. But yeah, we could try all that. Like we have no idea because we're talking about like Superman physiology. We have no idea whether or not like, you know, normal things would work with this. All right. And then he says, but there's good news. And because the Superman character sits there and goes, well, you said there was good news. He said, oh yeah. You know, the other shit just like blew my mind. So now I need, okay, now I, and he says that, and the two of them are just like, what? Okay. Like looking at each other, what? Okay. That kind of thing. But it did make me think, okay, I originally like plotted it out to be 4 books. And I think I can actually consolidate it into 3 books and actually still make it like maybe even more heart-wrenching and everything else based on that. And part of that's because Zor is only going to be 3 books. So of course, like now all of a sudden I'm like, how do I condense things into 3 books rather than doing 4 books? You know, that kind of thing. But anyways, and of course, today, just so everybody knows, I got feedback on Zor number 2. The script that I wrote for it, and the first thing that was written from the person I sent it to, which by the way is a guy that is a video game designer. I've talked about him, Cliff Blazinski, video game designer formerly, who has now written a comic book as well, and you know, he keeps saying, dude, this is the best thing you've written, you know, talking about Zor. Well, I started talking to him about this other book and he's like, damn, dude, like you're hitting the heart thing like a lot. And I'm like, well, you told me I needed to, so you know. And I even wrote back, I was like, it's funny because I like to write funny books. I like to put jokes in the books. I like to have people sit there and laugh at the things, whatever.
Totally branch out.
Well, but there's nothing wrong with being comedy.
No. But you don't want to just be pigeonholed.
Well, and I don't think I have been. Mm-hmm. You know, I've obviously got Immortal, which is a you know, action adventure book. I've got Stonkered, which is a sci-fi wrestling book. I've got Junior High Horrors, which is horror and humor, and then I've got Zor, which is legitimately like Pixar meets Wizard of Oz, and I've got this other book now, which is like just superhero drama shit, right? So I mean, like I'm touching upon everything, and I'm doing it all at once. You know, like if all this stuff comes out in 2024, people are gonna be like, "Where the fuck's this guy come up with this shit?" Right? And obviously, like some of it's been on the frying pan for 2 years, but all right, what was I saying?
Cliff gave you.
Oh yeah, he gave me some notes, and he gave me some notes about Zor. And he basically sent me a video of Patton Oswalt talking about when his wife passed away and how he contacted his daughter's school and had to ask them, how do I explain this to my daughter? So he's talking to the principal, he's talking to the teachers, he's talking to the guidance counselors, and they're like, the worst thing you can do in this situation is tell her and then tell her she's got to go to bed. Like, you got to give them time to absorb shit, right? I mean, kids absorb and, like, it's just going to, like, fuck with them. So you really gotta let them absorb it and everything else. And he sent me the video and he's like, dude, you keep putting these moments in that book where, and there's a sequence where she basically, like, Zoe, the little girl who drops the item down the drain, which causes the whole adventure, where she sits there and she doesn't want to talk to dad when they're eating dinner. And it's at the beginning of the book. And he's like, and Cliff was basically like, what you should do is you should spread that out. Put like sequences in there. And there are sequences where you see Zoe throughout the whole book. And the reason why is because I always want to draw back to the fact that I want people to know, even though this adventure is going on, it's all because of her.
Yeah.
Right? But there is this, just like in the first issue, there's a scene at the funeral. And you immediately sit there and go, fuck. Like you're just right at the beginning. You're sitting there like crushing us. And in the second issue, right at the beginning, there's a spot where she sits there and says, Daddy, I really don't feel like eating. Can I go outside and play? And what she do? She goes out and she's sitting on a swing and she's just sitting there on the swing with her head down. She's not swinging. She's literally just distraught, you know? And again, it's the same kind of moment that you have in the first one where, and because when she's actually speaking, she's actually like, I'm so sorry, Mommy, I didn't mean to lose the item and blah, 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 right? And he's like, you need to figure out a way to possibly put that in a couple more places. Well, Michael, I sent him the feedback, and he goes, well, I'm going to finish drawing it the way that it is, the way that it's written right now, because it makes sense. And I don't like breaking it down or anything else into doing different stuff because I already had this in mind. Cool. He's like, but I'm already seeing that it looks like there might be a spot where things don't work out correctly in terms of like the pacing of the book. So I was like, well, if you want to add another page of like Zoe and her dad or whatever, just let me know and I'll script it. Like, I don't, just do it make sense. And he's like, I'll do that. So there might be one or two pages added in that kind of go with what Cliff was saying.
Cool.
But again, even from there, I told him about the other idea and in the email, and he replied back. He goes, that sounds gut wrenching, dude. Like what you're doing right now, like you are hitting on cylinders that you probably didn't even know you had. So I'm pretty excited about that stuff. But at the same time, it's not like there's funny moments in all the books because I have to.
Right.
Like I handle tragedy with humor.
Yeah. Like
I've told you the story about when and I know that you're already looking at the clock and
No.
Oh, look to see if Nicole or I thought Shavar might have replied. I've told you about at my grandmother's wake, right?
I think so, yeah.
The story that 30 years later my cousin messages me and goes, that was the funniest thing I think I've ever heard now that I think back. And that's just me. Like that, like my brain doesn't process certain things the same way that like tragedy is supposed to be processed. Now, granted, I've gotten better about it because like suddenly I sit there and I cry watching a TV show or whatever and whatever. But the fact remains that when I was 15 years old or whatever, my grandmother passed away. My brother decided to go sit in the chair I was sitting in. When I go up and I talk to her, when I come back, the first words out of my mouth are, would you jump in my grave that fast? Mm-hmm. Which, when I say it that way, it's not the story that gets you to laugh. It's a story that makes you sit there and go, damn, Rob fucked up. But when you sit there and you say it as like, so then I walked away from there, walked over to my brother, who's a pain in the ass all the time. He's an asshole half the time. He's Like, he just doesn't even realize how much of an asshole he is half the time. I sit there, I look at him, and I go, would you jump in my grave that fast? All of a sudden, the crowd, that kind of thing. Like there's a way to tell that joke to get people to laugh, but there's a way to sit there and explain it as, that really happened. And I laugh about it because I'm like, it was funny to me even at the time, because I was like, oh shit, I just fucked up. And it made me laugh. But now, and folks, I literally, I've told Tino this story. My cousin, 30 years later, sent me a message and said, Rob, I don't know what made you think to say that. And at the time, I had to look at you like everybody else because it was just so wrong to say that in that moment. But now I think back, and it made me laugh my ass off because it was the funniest thing I think I've ever heard in terms of the context of a moment. And I'm like, that's what I'm good at. That's what I'm good at. Anyways, I don't know if I should say this, but my niece, nephew, and Shane and Michelle just got back from Italy.
Right.
Michelle got some not good news after she got back. She went to work on Monday, and she was in the same boat as me.
Why?
It's what they do. Luckily, they're in a much better situation because
Shane still.
yes. But they immediately drove back down to the beach even earlier than they were planning on doing it. And I think it's because, well, being at the beach makes everything better. Oh my God. The stories they were telling about the two of them going to Italy with my niece and nephew. Not going to talk about the amount of money in terms of the figures that they were talking about, but let's just say when they got there, it was a lot more expensive than they thought it was going to be. Because everything has gone up, right? I mean, you just got back from Disney. Like, it probably cost twice as much as what you actually had planned in terms of the actual dollar figures. But it was interesting to hear them talking about my nephew and my niece, because they had two rules for the entire trip. The first one was, don't be late.
Getting to the airport or
Well, getting anywhere. Because, like if you're getting on a bus to go visit something, the bus ain't waiting.
yeah, sure.
So be there on time. So they told me that, the kids were on time half the time. And the other half of the time was like they had to wait. And, the cab is sitting there ticking. Right? And then the other one was the buddy system. Make sure that you're always there for your counterpart. And they did that one. So at least one of the two rules. But the thing is that, here you have two 18-year-old kids going overseas to where the legal drinking age is 18.
Oh, God.
So they had their first legal drink over there. They actually FaceTimed me.
You told me that, yeah.
I think I said it on air. For grappa, which made me laugh. But I have to think that the two of them were going out. They were staying out too late. They were having one too many drinks. And when we're saying one too many drinks, I mean, like, Tino drinks 3, and it's too many drinks at this point sometimes. Sometimes.
3 bucks.
If you have 3 of those. 3 of these. You don't think 3 of these would be too much for you?
I just don't drink because I know I got to drive home.
Right.
But if I'm at home, no.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, like, but yeah, like, when you went out for your birthday, you had
I had a good buzz. Nicole tell you I wasn't drunk, though. I had a good buzz.
Nicole was saying he was drunk. She was like,
she knew because I was able to walk out and I was able to carry all my shit out and I'm looking at her, talking to her like I'm talking to you. And she goes, so I had a good buzz, but I wasn't drunk.
Sure. So you shouldn't have been driving.
Mm-mm.
and she drove you.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say they did that, okay? And chances are they had the same amount that he had that would have given him a good buzz, which meant they were shit-faced.
Yeah.
You know, because, I mean, that even if they're drinking with their friends, they're not drinking.
Because at the beach, I bought a handle of the Crown Apple.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was drinking that shit every night.
Oh, dude, that's like 30% alcohol. That's not it.
And then
This is like 55% alcohol.
But I'd be at the beach all day. My father-in-law, because we bought a case of he likes a Yingling for some reason. So he bought some of
It's not a bad lager.
I drink about 9 of those, but then I'd have my Coronas, the tall cans. So I drink 9 of the Yingling, and I drink about a 6-pack of those. And then I get home and drink Crown. So yes.
So you got shit,
I was tore up at the beach. I was tore up every day.
That's funny. That's funny.
Go just laugh. Like, fuck it. Because you're at the beach, man. In the cold. You don't realize it till you stand up. And then my father-in-law made a mistake. Because he's drinking with me too. And then he went and pissed. And every 5 minutes he said, you shouldn't have broke the seal. He was pissing every fucking 5 minutes.
And it's funny you say that because obviously when I went down to South Carolina to hang out with my sister and brother-in-law after I got laid off, they were like, well, let's go down to the beach club. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm drinking these things out of fucking buckets.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm drinking like 32 ounces of liquor.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course you get back to the house and it's like, oh, you want a beer? Sure, I'll have a. And we're drinking Mick Ultra or whatever, only 4% alcohol, but it's like, all of a sudden it's, oh shit, we got to take the recycling out because the entire bag's full of fucking cans of Mick Ultra.
like when I do my Christmas parties, like the next day, I know they're like, you guys, because all yours, there's cans of bottles.
Yeah, exactly.
And when we have those parties, we use those, the big ass yard bags. We fill like 2 of those bitches up, and you get
but I mean that's like 30 people. Here, what I'm talking about is like me and Shane.
Mm.
And we probably could fill one of those yard bags up.
Those Christmas parties, I start drinking at 5. People show up at 7. I'm already bang buzzed. And it goes like 2 or 3. So I'm like,
yeah.
My coach still tells the story. So like when I first got my 380, she goes, you came out and you were waving that gun everywhere. Now, while I was drinking, there was no clip in it. And there was nothing in the chamber. I was just showing them the new gun. And she made it sound like
it's like a toy that you're showing off. Yeah.
But there's no clip in it and there's nothing in the chamber. It's totally unloaded.
Did I ever tell that story about GameStop?
No. Which story? Where you took a gun to GameStop?
No, not me.
Oh.
No, I was working on a Sunday and there was a gun show. My assistant manager at the time came back to the store.
Vaguely remember.
And I think this was when I used to tell the GameStop story of the week.
Yeah.
And it became part of GameStop SOP, standard operating platform. You can't bring a gun to the store no matter what time you come to the store.
Didn't somebody bring a sword too?
I
missed those. So if you guys been watching our 250 shows, it got to a point where Rob, we were upstairs.
Like there was like 50 episodes.
You would pull out the thing.
I had it written down
because I'm like, you gotta. He didn't want to do it, but once we started doing it, he fucking loved it. I'm like, dude, you gotta do it because they were fucking hilarious. Man.
All right. For one night only, you want me to go ahead and tell those 2 real quick?
Yeah, do those and then we'll.
All right. Obviously, we need to get into the 200th episode of Dynamite. So he got me laughing about this shit. All right,
man.
So all right. So the first one was the samurai sword.
I think this one.
So I was working at the GameStop off Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh, and there's 3 on Capitol Boulevard. I was working at the one next to the Starbucks, just in case anybody actually knows exactly where I'm talking about. Anyways, I got moved to Northgate Mall in Durham, which meant I was no longer working with the same district manager or anything, but still had to, do midnight launches and everything else if the mall would allow us. And Northgate Mall didn't really allow us to stay open at midnight because, well, it was Northgate Mall in Durham, right?
Yeah.
Which is no longer there, just to let everybody
Yeah.
know. So what they'd have me do is they would have me call every one of the customers for a game that was coming out, and I'd have to tell them, hey, come in, pay for the game now. I'll have a list of everybody that's fully paid, and if your name's on that list the next day, I'll ring it out, but I'll give you the copy that night because you're fully paid, so we can do that. And people would be like, yeah, absolutely, let me do that, blah, blah. And we'd go to a different store, and they'd have to pick it up at that other store because they'd be able to be open.
Yeah.
We weren't. Well, I forget what game it was, because, I mean, we're talking 12, 14 years ago at this point. Actually, I got moved to Northgate Mall in Durham after. So I wasn't at Capitol Boulevard yet. I actually was at Durham and then moved to Capitol. 2007. So this is like 16 years ago.
It's 2 years from Matthew,
Yeah. So all of a sudden we do like Guitar Hero or something as a midnight launch, and I have to bring all the copies. And I only brought like 20 copies because, well, other people didn't have their full pays, so I couldn't take their, I couldn't sell their copies or whatever. Anyways, 2 days later, we get an email that says we got to be on a special conference call. What the fuck? What the fuck did somebody do? What did they do, right? So get on this conference call, and it's the district manager. His name is Jim Johnson, and that's literally how he would say his name, Jim Johnson. And he was like, want to go ahead and tell everybody that something came up, and we need to make sure that nobody's bringing weapons into their location. So let me go over this list of weapons you are not allowed to bring to your location. And I mean, he was like ballistas, the damn ball, and
the mace.
No maces, no ballistas, no grenades, like all this weird shit. Guns were never mentioned, okay? But it was like, and let me reiterate, no samurai swords. Samurai. And I went, oh shit. I know exactly who he's talking about. So I make a phone call up to the Raleigh people, and I'm like, Jackie, did Jim cut somebody with a samurai sword? And they're like, Rob, how did you know it was Jim? And I'm like, what? So I'm right? And they're like, nobody's supposed to know this. Like the whole company's getting this message that they're not allowed to. And I'm like, I know. And they're like, but how did you know it was Jim? I was like, because I know Jim had a samurai sword.
So what happened?
So dude at that Guitar Hero launch has a samurai sword out, and he's like, and then all of a sudden, like, one of his good customers, dude's name is Timothy. I remember him to this day because he started shopping with me after Jim left.
Okay.
Timothy asked Jim if he could see the samurai sword. And Jim's like, sure. And Jim drops it like this. And Timothy puts his hand out. And it cuts into his hand. And it's bleeding everywhere. I mean, it's a bad cut, right? It's sharp. And Timothy is a music teacher. And and what he's known for is like keyboards and saxophone. Suddenly he's got a massive slice, and the company sits there and they're like, well, we gotta fire the guy that did it, right? So they're like, we gotta fire Jim.
Did Timothy
So Timothy hears that they're trying to fire Jim. Because Kevin was like, Jim, we got to get Timothy's statement, but this doesn't look good for you. And so Jim calls Timothy, and Timothy's like, let me talk to them. Timothy calls Kevin and makes and signs a piece of paper that says Jim gets to keep his job. And as long as Jim keeps his job under Jim's own power, so if Jim quits or whatever, no big deal. But as long as Jim keeps his job under Jim's own will, he won't sue the company. And he signs a piece of paperwork that says that. Because he actually said, it was my own fault that I put my hand out and grabbed the sword. And he's right. But why the fuck was there a samurai sword in the store to begin with?
Exactly.
And not even for like a ninja game.
That's funny. All right. Gun. My other favorite story, which we'll get another time, is the story you told me what to do with the band. Those stories are fucking hilarious. But we'll get those later.
Yeah, I'm not telling that one today.
No, but
that was my district manager.
and the table in the back room. Yeah.
So I'm not gonna say whose name this one was because this could affect somebody. But and Jim wouldn't care that I actually mentioned that story about him. But so anyway, I'm at Capitol Boulevard and I have a specific assistant manager. And the assistant manager, super nice guy. In fact, I love him to death now. Like if he called me up and said, "Hey, I need your help with something," I would go do it, right? Back then, he was always like the manager's always trying to get rid of me, trying to do this, Well, anyways, dude was a gun collector. And he was a Republican or whatever, and he was like 23, 24 years old. So, I mean, he really didn't know he should be a Republican or Democrat or whatever, because, I mean, at that age, you really don't know. Anyways, I hated working Sundays. You know, like, and I hated working Saturdays even more because I'm a Notre Dame football fan. So I always wanted to be home on Saturdays to watch football. But there was a gun show going on Sunday. And he's like, "I can't work this Sunday." And I'm like, "Fine, I'll work the Sunday for you." And he comes to the store at like 5:30 in the afternoon. The store closes at 6. And he's like, "Rob, I got to show you what I bought." And I'm like, "Dude." And I'm just going to say his name, Dude, right now. I'm like, "Dude, if you tell me you have a gun on your person right now, I'm going to turn around, I'm going to put my fingers in my ears, I'm going to tell you, get the fuck out of the store." And he's like, no, you got to see it. And I'm like, "I don't want to know you have a gun in my store right fucking now, because I have to mention it. I have to report it. I have to tell the company that you did this. And this is why, A, you couldn't work today, and B, you brought it into the store." And he's like, no, it's not like that. It's not like that. It's not loaded.
No matter.
And I'm like, and it was like a Nazi Luger. Okay, so like that little handgun with that little pistol piece with the little thing at the end, like literally looking like something out of World War II, whatever. And I'm like, "Dude," because I almost said his name right there. I'm like, "Dude, you can't have this in the store." And he's like, "But we're in the back room and I'm just showing you because it's really cool." And I'm like, "I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to give you the count of 3 to get out of the back room and get out of the store. I can't see this. It's on camera now. Like, I can't, like, at this point, I can't protect you. And it looks like you are holding me up." And he's like, no, that's not it." And I'm like, "I get it. I understand.
Get out.
Get the fuck out of the store." And he leaves. And that was Sunday. Monday, the district manager has to be in their office. Well, my district manager at the time was Kevin. And Kevin is in his office on Monday, and I'm there, and I'm like, "Kevin, oh my God, I gotta tell you about this. And he's like, Rob, I don't really know if I want to hear about this. And I'm like, Kevin, it's gonna blow your mind. And he's like, fine, go ahead. And like Kevin and I would sit there and bullshit. Like we still bullshit about every time we do actually talk to each other. Because I call him about, once every 3 or 4 months and just catch up with him, whatever. Because we're friends at this point. But I go, Kevin, I don't know what to do in this situation. He's like, well, what happened? And I'm like, dude went to a gun show, and he goes, oh, don't even go further with that story. And I'm like, no. What you think happened, absolute. And he's like, do I have to watch video? And I'm like, I don't want you to. And he goes, how do you want me to spin it to corporate? Because at this point, we know it's going to be something.
Yeah.
This is after the street.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And I'm like, to him, this person, an unloaded gun is a collectible. It's like me buying an Optimus Prime action figure, especially like a vintage Optimus Prime action figure. Like me buying the Jim Lee artwork or the Todd McFarlane piece up there. It's like that. He doesn't look at it like his brain doesn't
get it. Register.
Think of it the same way. No, it registers. He knows he bought it. He knows what it is.
He didn't register that as not wrong, but he doesn't.
He looked at it as, check out this new prized possession. He didn't look at it as, this is something that could look like I'm actually trying to hold you up.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want it to be described like that. And he's like, you're really going to stick your neck out for him? And I'm like, dude, I'm not sticking my neck out for him. That's how he perceives it. Like, I know he doesn't look at it as...
He didn't mean any ill will.
He did not mean me any harm. In fact, if somebody had come in and held me up, he probably would have shot them with the gun. And Kevin stuck up for him, right? And HR called. Kevin and I are sitting there on a conference call with HR.
Oh, shit.
And the whole conference call is us basically explaining exactly how I just explained it. He doesn't look at it the same. He doesn't register it the same way that we do. And they're like, but it's a fucking gun. And finally, like, Kevin sits there and goes, listen, I read the policy. The policy says no swords. He goes, it doesn't say anything about firearms. And the guy from HR is like, bullshit. And I'm on this call, bullshit. And he's like,
read it.
I've read it 4 times. It doesn't say anything about firearms. The next day,
it was in there.
A message sent out from corporate, no one is allowed to bring firearms anywhere onto the premises. You're not allowed to have it in your vehicle. You're not allowed, because vehicles are, while you're at the company property. If you're in the parking lot, it's company property. You cannot.
Yeah, I can't have a gun in my car at home if I park in the. Yeah.
But before that moment,
so what happened to dude?
Dude was fine. He got written up. Hey, you did something against policy. You came in on your day off when you said you couldn't work that day. Blah blah blah. Dumb shit like that. Got written up, but
no gun.
but and then it was, you are not allowed to bring a firearm on the premises.
That's awesome.
Ever again.
That's awesome.
It's dumb as shit, dude.
It is.
Like, how is that not in policy for but the fact that Kevin, going into that conference call,
I read it 4 times.
Well, it finally became like his smoking gun. It was it's not in policy. And they were like, bullshit, it's not. And he's like, go ahead and look it up. And they looked it up and they're like,
God bless.
fuck, it really isn't in policy.
Policy.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, because I'm sitting in the same room with Kevin and we're on a conference call. And I'm like, he puts it on mute. And I'm like, did you know that all along? And he goes, I didn't think I was going to have to use it. But, like, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And it's all because we actually liked the kid. If we hated the motherfucker,
he's been gone.
I mean, it would have been like, dude, get the fuck out of my store. You're fired. Well, you can't fire me on my job. You just put a gun in my face. But yes. So,
Shamar said you were good.
Oh, yeah. Ask for his address so that way we've got it. Chris Barrett is in the audience. Chris Barrett, hope you've been doing okay. Don't know if you noticed, but did I talk about the Comic-Con this past weekend?
No. That means we're just going to have time for predictions, but fuck it. We'll do it. Do your Comic-Con. We're still talking about what's up with you.
I mean, this is kind of funny.
Okay.
I told you about it a little bit, didn't I?
Which part?
So I only went to GalaxyCon on Friday. So right after our show Thursday night, I went to GalaxyCon on Friday, got a piece of artwork from my favorite comic book artist.
Oh, is that the one where they made a new rule for you? That one I saw it on Facebook. Yeah. I want to hear this fucking story. You didn't tell me about it. I saw it on Facebook. I meant to ask you about it. I'm like,
what
really?
did this motherfucker do?
I'm like, really? This motherfucker made them write new tape.
Chris Barrett, you're going to love this story, by the way. No, I did not go to San Diego.
No.
The picture you saw was me hanging out with Cliff Blazinski in Raleigh, where we both had our San Diego Comic-Con placards, but I did not go to San Diego. I've kept 2 of my placards. I kept the one that just said Rob Pachek, and I've kept the one that says Rob Potsy Pachek on it.
He's in Clayton. I thought he was in Raleigh.
Who?
Shavar.
Oh, is he? Oh, he bought a house.
Oh, okay.
He bought a house. God, that's going to take me like 45 minutes to an hour to get there.
Well, for you, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, that's like me going to the place I play in Clayton.
Yeah, exactly. It was like 30 minutes. Yeah. Anyways.
Sorry.
I'll
pour.
So, yes, for me the address. So anyway, my buddy Wes, amazing painter, Wes Flannery, has 2 passes into the show because he has a booth at it, and sold 2 pieces of artwork to Nick Carter, by the way, from Backstreet Boys.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Sold 2 paint. Yeah. In fact, he did an a cappella singing thing one night at the show, but on the last day, Wes actually sold a Jaws painting and an Elvira painting to him, and probably made $2,000 off of Nick Carter. Because one thing I love about Wes is he doesn't bicker on his prices. He's like, I put that much work into it. You're going to pay that.
And they paid it.
And he's like, it will sell to somebody.
Nice.
And that did. And 2 of those paintings sold. So great job to Wes. But I go on Friday. I get there at like 9:30 in the morning.
Did you wear your jacket?
I did. Okay. I got it signed by.
With the.
Yeah. I dressed up. I bought a black T-shirt so that way it would go with the jacket. I wore jeans, but I wore pants. It was 100 degrees outside that day. There's pictures of me online with me and my buddy Josh, who was dressed up in the same Star Trek. He didn't have the jacket. He had like the actual like commander gear on.
Okay.
So he was wearing the whole commander like shirt, pants, the whole thing.
Okay.
So there's pictures of us doing that. Well, I'm walking around the convention, and I'm like, I had a local bottle of bourbon.
How the fuck did you get that in there? Or they didn't. You put it in your jacket, didn't you?
I had a bag with me, but I had a vendor badge. So like, They see the bag and they're like, oh, he's just going out of a vendor booth. Okay, whatever.
Gotcha.
But
How'd you have a vendor bag? You weren't even here for that.
well, Wes was a vendor.
Okay.
So he gave me this. I probably shouldn't say that because now Wes is probably gonna get in trouble. But anyway, I walk in. I got, and it's the half bottle of liquor that I had up on my, from the place like literally 4 minutes down the road, and I'd already messaged all the people from Star Trek saying, hey, I'm gonna be there, and you look like you're a bourbon drinker. I'll be bringing something, blah blah blah. And they're all like, yeah, whatever. Probably not expecting me to actually bring bourbon. Anyways, so
what you drinking? Did you bring cups too?
So I walked up. So they were serving alcohol at the thing. So I just walked up to the thing and I was like, hey, is there any way to get cups? And she's like, sure. So I tipped her $2 and she gave me like 10 cups.
Okay.
But I only had half a fifth.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I had a lot.
All right.
But it was 115.7% proof. So 57%? 58% almost?
Yeah.
Smoothest shit I think I've ever drank, dude. Like, and I've had it before because I've been over to the thing. But, I go up, I meet the showrunner of Star Trek Picard. I meet Todd Stashwick, who is the captain that, like I said, when it comes to guys going against Picard and Riker, he's the one that was like, no,
Okay.
no, that's Anson Mount.
Okay.
But no, he's the guy that, like, when Picard and Riker were like, hey, we want to go over to this system, he's like,
he's the one to eat the steak when they came in.
yes.
Okay.
And he's like the one that's like, no.
All right.
And they're like, what? And he goes, I didn't get to my position with 35 missions under my belt by sitting there just doing stuff willy-nilly.
All right.
Yeah. So, dude is like a total geek too, right? So, like, I went on Twitter and I was like, you look like a bourbon drinker. He's like, I am in fact a bourbonista. I was like, I got something for you in the end. And originally I said, hey, first drink's on me if you guys come out to side quest or whatever. Well, I knew they weren't going to come out to side quest, even though it is only 5 blocks away from the convention center. So I was like, I'll bring a bottle with me. And I know I'll get in because there hasn't been anything posted. So I walk up after getting their signatures on my jacket, like on the inside of my jacket, which is really cool. And I'll show it to you before you leave. But I walk back up and, like, one of them's missing, one of them's not there, whatever. And then all of a sudden, finally, like, I walk back up and they're both there. And Stashwick's actually talking at Terry Metalis' table, which is directly next to his. They're like really good friends because they worked on a show called 12 Monkeys on Sci-Fi, and now they've worked on this show together. And I'm like, Todd, I mentioned that you look like a bourbonista. And he's like, I am. I was like, well, you want to try some? And he's like, well, I don't. And I was like, it's an unopened bottle, so I didn't mess with it, and I will drink some with everybody. And he's like, well, I'm not saying no.
All right.
Cool. Well, then all of a sudden, Gates McFadden, who plays Beverly Crusher, walks up.
Oh shit!
And she's walking away, and she goes, "Wait, what is that?" And she starts doing this, and I'm like, "Well, it's a local bourbon." And she goes, "I love bourbon."
Oh, fuck.
I'm like, "Me too." She goes, "Can I have some?" And then all of a sudden she sees my stack of cups. And I'm like, Dr. Crusher, you can have anything you want. So and she goes, I just want a little. Just to taste. And okay. So I start popping cups out, right? And there's like 4 of them out. One for me, one for him, one for her. All of a sudden I'm like, okay, let me give the showrunner one. I start asking, remember Quark from Deep Space Nine, the guy with the big ears?
Yeah. So
he's there. And he's talking to them right now. And I'm like, Mr. Shimmerman, because his name's Armin Shimmerman. I'm like, Mr. Shimmerman, would you like some bourbon? He goes, I don't drink. I play a bartender, but I don't drink. And I'm like, I understand. Cool. Thank you for, like, just entertaining the thought, whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, 3 of the handlers are like, can we have some? And here's what made it really funny is the handlers are asking, can we have some? And I'm like, are you guys allowed some? And they're like, well, we noticed that the convention said nothing, like no smoking. But it didn't say anything about no alcohol. And I'm like, and they serve alcohol here. And they're like, so can we have some? I was like, you know what? 3 more cups out, right? So I start pouring. I pour Todd Stash with a decent shot. I pour Terry Metalis, the showrunner, a decent shot. I pour each of the handlers a little bit each, and then I go to mine, and then Dr. Crusher, and I start pouring, and she's like just a little. I'm like, okay. So I pour it to like where like a normal cup you get to like there, and she's like just a little bit more.
Just one little.
And I'm like, okay, so you say when now, Dr. Crusher? And she's like, okay, good. And it's like, like.
I wish I could never see that shit.
So I'm and I couldn't ask for a picture or anything because they can't sit there and take a picture with me that might get posted on the internet of them sitting there doing this shot and drinking with me. But we all cheers, we all take the shot, and she's like Todd Stashwick's like, I can taste the cinnamon, I can taste a little bit of this, but god damn, that's smooth. And
you got any more?
No. We drank the whole thing there.
Oh damn! You said it's a fifth.
No, it was a half fifth.
Oh,
it was a half fifth. So there was like 12 shots in the entire thing, right? And then I shared it with people at the show. But like, he's like, and you said that was how much alcohol? I'm like, 57%. And he's like, fuck, that's really good. And I was like, well, do you want some more? And he goes, I'm not. And he takes
I'm not saying no.
He takes his glass and he goes, didn't say no yet.
Uh-huh.
And he puts it out like that. And I'm like, all right. So I pour more for him. Then he takes a picture with me, gives me a free autograph. That's like $110 worth of stuff from Todd Stashwick, by the way.
Shit.
So I'm like, sweet. But I didn't get anything with Beverly Crusher.
Nah.
Because I didn't even see what her pricing was because I didn't even walk over her table because she came to me, right? But I did.
You should have got a picture like after the shot.
I should have. I should have asked, hey, can I get a? But she probably would have been like, well, I charge. And I was trying not to spend more and more money because I did pay for them to sign my jacket. So I paid for Terry Metalis, the showrunner. I paid for Todd Stashwick to sign it, and Jonathan Frakes was supposed to be at the show. So Commander Riker was supposed to be at the show, but he was in Connecticut instead. So he did not.
How did you get busted? That's what the whole.
I personally did not get busted. Nobody came up to me and said, "Hey, you can't do that." Nobody said.
So how did they figure out that's what happened in order to put that out?
So all right, you want the truth?
Yes.
You can't handle.
Let's go, dude.
All right. So the truth behind it, that there are a couple messages. They always seem like they were 21 teen. I don't know what that means, but that's Chris Barrett. So what I think happened was this: Billy D. Williams was at the show.
Oh shit! And he was mad because you weren't handing out Coke 45.
Well, I think because his poster actually had him with the Colt 45, people were trying to get into the show with cans of Colt 45 to get him to sign them.
Got it.
Or bottles. I mean, because Colt 45 obviously is a bottle of. So I think people were trying to do that, and that's actually what caused the issue, not me.
Okay.
But there is a picture of me with Todd Stashwick with a bottle of bourbon on his table.
Why that?
Well, I took the picture.
Oh.
And he actually was fine with me taking the picture. I'm like, he goes, I don't think we can take a picture of us drinking at the same time. And I'm like, well, can we take a picture, like a selfie with the bottle just in view? And he goes, I'm okay with that because I might order one of those bottles online afterwards. Because he wanted to know how to get the bottle.
That's funny. That's funny.
So yes, so ultimately, there is a possibility that it's because of me, with all of the Star Trek people drinking bourbon, that yes, you are no longer at GalaxyCon allowed to bring a bottle in. Interestingly, it was a plastic bottle. Their post said no glass bottles. So I think I'm okay. But at the same time, I don't want to get anybody that was involved with the show, Todd Stashwick, Beverly Crusher, Terry Metallo, any of the Star Trek people. I don't want to get them in trouble for drinking bourbon with me.
Okay.
But hell of a fucking story.
That's cool.
Hell of a fucking story. So, all right, you ready?
Yeah, we got.
We're gonna.
It's like 9:40.
We're gonna bolt through some of this stuff. So NXT, Dragon Lee. Dominic Mysterio.
You sent me that thing, and I didn't notice that when they did that backstage. Dude, I watched that shit 10 times, and if I didn't fucking laugh 10 times, because he was such a stranger. He goes, you know what I am? She goes,
and she said it so under her breath,
so quiet, and the look on her, she was like, it was the look, it's the way she said it. Dude, if I didn't watch that shit 10 times, I almost pissed my pants.
And then when they were in the ring, and she goes, "Hey, Dum Dum, look at who it is. It's Rey Mysterio Jr. Jr." And then, of course, they went back to the well by saying that Rey Mysterio is actually going to be at NXT next week.
Hoping they were, because he's still not going to be able to counteract Rhea. I was hoping it'd be a female.
That would have been more interesting.
Yeah. Like sense of saying maybe like even if it was Elena Vega, even though she'd probably get her ass whooped, but somebody to counteract Rhea.
I would have taken a babyface female from NXT.
Yeah.
And if they have any lucha females, I would have said do that.
I don't know if they.
I don't think they do.
I don't think they have anybody big enough that would be.
But Gigi Dolan or somebody just to give Rhea a competitor.
Yeah.
Would have been okay. I completely agree with that. Really didn't watch a lot of NXT this week, but I did see all that. I was impressed with it. The Dragon Lee did look like Batman.
That shit was hilarious.
He did look like Batman. It kind of in the same way that Rey Mysterio used to always do, like for special pay-per-views, he would dress up as Captain America or Wolverine.
That year he did a Silver Surfer was just terrible. His whole body was painted silver. I'm like, no, Ray.
Well, I mean, he did the Phantom where he was in all the purple, and then Halloween Havoc. He did Flash with, like I said, Captain America. He did. He did a bunch of them. And
I do want to go back real quick because we
sure.
NXT. I want to go back to SmackDown with the Uso and Roman, and how devastating was that spear Samoan Spike combo.
Well, let's if we're gonna talk about that moment, and I mean, obviously this is they still have one more SmackDown to go, right? But Roman showing up first of all 2 weeks in a row is a pretty big deal. Although the one he didn't show up for was fucking Raleigh. Thank God we didn't go. Although your daughter apparently at Monday at one of the shows, was it Monday Night Raw in Atlanta?
She went on Facebook. I meant to send you that picture.
Yeah, she went backstage.
She went backstage, and no, they were in Florida because she was in Florida. It was I think it was a house show.
No, I think it was the Raw in Tampa.
But it was Friday. No, it was Friday. She sent her over the weekend.
Oh well, it was Friday. It could have been a SmackDown because Cody's been showing.
No, it was Saturday. Because I remember I'm like,
okay.
You at the fucking paper? She goes, yeah. I'm like, bitch, no, you're not. They're in Atlanta. But yeah, that. She didn't watch wrestling on Facebook. Cody Rhodes, my favorite wrestler. Bitch, you don't watch wrestling. Anyway.
Yeah, can't get us backstage when we go to Monday Night Raw. We get kicked out of our seats for half the show. I'm kidding, so that segment, my feelings with Jey Uso Tino, have been, he keeps looking like he wants to cry.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of looking like he's manning up for the moment. And I don't, like,
I think they're trying to play on the drama that is hurting him, that he has to do it.
I get that, and I believe that, but he still looks like he's like, and I'm like, dude, you're a fucking man.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there trying to say, I am the man, and I am the only man to do this thing to my cousin that hasn't been done in 3 years, right?
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, they haven't played at all on the idea that Jey Uso was the first guy in WWE to pin Roman Reigns,
which I think is weird.
Well, no. It's because some of that stuff they don't want to go back to that footage because of who might be in the footage, right? There might be Braun Strowman, there might be John Cena, there might be CM Punk, there might be, you know what I mean? Like you don't want to sit there and show people.
It was a tag match. I don't remember who was partner.
Well, it was the
6-man.
It was the Shield, probably versus Daniel Bryan and the Usos, or something like that. I don't remember who exactly, but
yeah, but it was the Shield. I don't remember who.
It was definitely the Shield, which means they probably don't want to show Dean Ambrose. So, anyways, but you're right. Like when Jay came back and did the spear to Roman, that was devastating.
Dude, he fucking nailed it.
And then when he went to go jump off the top rope, that's when Solo came back. That's when they did the whole thing. And you're like, that's how the match is gonna end. Like, and if I had to guess, tomorrow night SmackDown will end with Jey Uso getting one up on Roman.
You're right. But and that goes back, and we always talk about 5-year-old me.
Who's gonna be the guy?
Yes. So if you
the night before,
right? If you get fucked up the night before, you're winning at the pay-per-view. So I'm almost wondering if they're gonna fucking. So we know if he gets the better of Roman tomorrow night, which we already know he's not gonna beat Roman, but at least give me that. You know what I'm saying?
I still think there's a possibility that Jimmy shows up tomorrow night and says, "Give me Solo." And then at the pay-per-view, it's Jimmy and Solo. And it's Roman and Jay.
Okay.
Although they said that they're sticking to a 9-match card, and I don't know what it is. You pulled up.
And there's also something I want to talk about too, but we'll finish with Raw because I'm upset, and it's been mentioned on the internet too. Rhea's not on SummerSlam. She's not an opponent because she was supposed to go against, I believe it was
Raquel.
And Raquel's hurt.
Yeah.
And they did the fucking match that was supposed to be on SummerSlam with Trish and Becky. They did it on Raw. And now they're doing it 2 weeks from now. It's not going to be on SummerSlam either. So there's no women matches on SummerSlam. The only one, no, that one. But they have. I'm sorry, they do. They have they have Charlotte match.
Charlotte. They have the Asuka match. She's the champ.
Okay,
let's give her her due.
Okay, but we know what the fuck's going to happen. It's a Charlotte match. But
I think Bianca wins.
I think Charlotte wins and Io cashes in.
Ooh.
And then her and Bailey feud.
They really kind of make it, and we can talk about this specifically when we're doing when we're doing the predictions. I do want to talk a little bit about Collision, which I didn't think I would be doing.
And I also want to talk about real quick before
what's
going on with Bobby Lashley, because he's now talked with the Street Profits and he's talked with the other team on Raw. So he's pulled 2 teams aside.
Who's the team on Raw?
Who's it on Raw he talked to?
Wasn't Hit Row, because they're on SmackDown.
Yeah, I know he pulled. It was the Street Profits. And there was another team No,
he talked to Street and Trick and Mello.
NXT, so I'm wondering what the fuck.
I think the Trick and Mello thing was just
NXT. Mello's like, hey, dude, we're always boys. He said, but everybody thinks of me as a sidekick. I need to go out on my own. I'm wondering, Trick's gonna go on his own, but I think he's gonna come back around because he's saying, you're the NXT champion. Everybody's looking at you. He said, I got to prove myself. So I think Trick's going to go on a run, and it's going to circle back to him and Melo for that belt.
Well, we didn't even talk about the NXT show.
Yeah.
Which, you know what?
Was fucking phenomenal.
It was good. It was really good. I do want to talk about that Dragunov versus Carmelo match. Gallus obviously lost to the family.
I'm wondering what's going to happen with Thea Hell and him throwing in that towel. But is Thea Hell going heel? What the fuck's going to happen?
I don't know.
Okay.
But mainly the Dragunov versus Melo match.
That match.
I didn't think it was going to deliver.
That match was fucking.
When Dragunov went to the top rope to do coast to coast and got hit with the fucking the code breaker, and it bounced him like, dude, I literally just watched a video the other day of like a bull sitting there hitting people in those giant bodysuit, like those giant balls, and it was sending them into the audience. That's what that shit looked like.
Those fucking chops he laid on Melo too. You could see, man. What do we call it? Hamburger? His chest. He was
roast beef.
Roast beef. He was laying those bitches in. That match was better than it should have been. That match.
I'm gonna say right now, when you see a black man turn red,
he fucking chopped the shit out of him.
And yeah, Melo's a mocha, right? But he turned red.
Dude, busted blood vessel, handprints. Dude.
And what
match was fucking
what I think people forget is who really was the last person to beat Gunther.
Yeah.
Ilya Dragunov. And now,
and I think now because Trick and Dragunov, I think that's going to propel Trick.
It could.
I think because as good as Dragunov is fucking phenomenal, he can carry. He can make Trick look good. You know what I mean? Trick.
He can. The problem, and good point. The problem that you run into with Trick is he's always been the sidekick.
And I think now
it's going to be whether or not he actually is.
Think about it. Look what they did for fucking Dom. Dom was always Ray's son. He was a sidekick, and he was a sidekick when they first started off in Judgment Day. He was a side. Look how fucking hot he is now. So I think if they, you know what I'm saying, if they put Trick,
there's a
with
difference.
Somebody.
There is a difference. Dominic grew up during the pandemic.
Okay.
And he's been on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, but he's been face front the entire fucking time.
Yeah.
Trick is still in those 250 person audiences. And I'm not saying he's not ready because I'll tell you, look at Tony D'Angelo,
yes,
and
that's what I was about to say, yes.
Like those two guys, Tony D'Angelo's only been doing this 2.5 years.
That motherfucker got swole. He got bigger. That motherfucker. They mentioned it because they mentioned Booker T. Was like, I'm like, that bitch bigger. And Booker T on commentary is like, he's been working out in jail. But you look, he took that time off to fucking get cut.
But at this point, when it comes to Dom, we know that Dom is still protected. So, if Trick leaves Carmelo, he's not protected anymore.
Yeah. And
he's not gonna have like a sidekick or a valet, or he's gonna be on his own.
Well, he's gonna throw him out there and see what he does.
But like when you look at that, what happened to Commander Aziz? What happened? I agree, but what?
That's a bad example.
Where's Omos?
That's a bad example too. He's green.
Omos was on fucking WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, but he was still green.
Hasn't been seen since. Well, actually, he did. He got the match against Seth, but he hasn't been seen since yet. But that's my point. Is that like here are people that aren't ready.
But that's the point.
And if they're trying to push Trick to be the guy to go against Carmelo,
I'm not saying it's going to happen in 2 months. You know what I'm saying? He needs to.
He's gonna have to have Dijak matches.
Yes.
And by the way, Dijak is ready to be the guy to beat Carmelo. But for whatever reason, he keeps losing.
Yeah. I just don't, because I don't feel that character right now.
I don't have to feel the character. Send him up to the main roster and just be like, hey, do whatever Damian Priest fucking did.
Yeah.
Because Damian Priest, we fucking buy. You know what I mean? Anyways.
Hell yeah. So
Rampage I didn't watch, but Collision.
Because I told you, like, we're up in the mirror. And I told you, Collision's been a fucking good show. You only watched it because you wanted to see that tag match.
No, I watched it because I actually wanted to see what CM Punk had to say about the X belt.
And what you think? So is CM Punk a heel now? They turned him. You know what I mean? He's starting to get booed more.
Ricky Starks is the heel in that little feud that they've got. He is. Because
he is.
Because he's screwed.
They're trying
to get the win.
CM Punk. Like, remember how they used to push Roman Reigns down our throats? I think they're trying to do that with CM Punk. People starting to boo him now. You know what I'm saying? So, I think they need to let him go on a heel run.
Now, hold on. This past week, just so everybody knows, Collision was in Connecticut.
Dude, when Ricky Starks...
Where is Connecticut, though?
No, they were... No,
who's in Connecticut?
Stanford. And that's why Ricky Starks like, what he's talking, I'm going to get a guest for free. Well, we know you don't have friends, so you give her go. If you need to go up to Stanford against... I was like, oh, fuck, he did not. Oh, fuck, he did not.
So think about that. If there's one place CM Punk's going to get booed more than anywhere else,
you think?
Stamford, Connecticut?
They were still, WWE fans were still yelling for CM Punk a couple years ago.
They weren't CM Punk fans. They were Chicago people.
Okay.
But
I agree Ricky Starks is the heel, but they're booing Punk too.
And I agree. But they're booing Punk because on the same night, they had MJF in the building with the Triple B and as a babyface in his match against FTR, because let's be real, they definitely pushed FTR as the heels in that match.
I kind of like the damn CM, not CM, damn it, damn it, not FTR. I kind of dig when they melded.
Better Than You, Baby?
The song, the theme song, the way they meld. I'm like, that is fucking hot. That is hot.
I loved when they first did so on YouTube. There's an hour-long video of the entirety of Adam Cole and MJF becoming a tag team.
Yeah.
And it's an hour long. And I watched the whole thing the other night because I don't watch AEW as religiously as Jason.
So you saw when it first came out, he goes, I got something for you. He goes again. He goes, that's my music. And then they played the fucking, and then
when he sat there and he was like, why are they playing my music a second time? And all of a sudden it's like, it's all about them.
And then they kept going.
He's like, oh yeah. And then he's like,
yeah.
Doing this whole, I absolutely loved it. They're pushing MJF to be a babyface right now.
I think he's going to come back around to Punk, because Punk's the real world champion. aka Ric Flair, I'm the real world champion.
So number one problem I have with that is what they announced on Dynamite, which is MJF versus Adam Cole for the title at London.
You didn't like that?
Because CM Punk's sitting there saying, I'm the real world's champion. MJF saying, I'm going to put the championship on the line. Where should they coincide and actually fight for that belt? At the biggest show that has ever been done in AEW history.
I think they're going to do it all out. So I get them confused. This one coming up in Wembley, is that all in?
All in.
So that at All Out, the next one, I think.
Yeah, but that's a week later.
Is that a week later?
It's a week later.
I thought it. Okay.
No.
Oh, my bad. Then no. Yeah.
And honest to God, if you have 90,000 people watching your program and you're saying, I'm the champion, where do you have that match? You have it at the biggest match you're ever going to do.
And they still got time to
Because they've now announced that Adam Cole versus MJF is the main event at Wembley.
What I'm saying is that's in that's only a couple of weeks. They could still make it like a triple threat unification.
No, you can't do that at this point. You legitimately when it comes to this match.
Did you send? I'd seen it already on TikTok, but you sent it to me again. The whole watch Adam's hand. So you think MJF's the babyface now? Is Cole turn on him?
I've already said.
You said Roddy turns on him.
I think Roderick Strong turns on Adam Cole. Because MJF versus CM Punk is bigger than Adam Cole versus CM Punk.
Yes. Unfortunately, yes.
Not even unfortunately. It's fortunate for AEW. Speaking of AEW, do we want to talk about the elephant in the room? The elite elephant in the room?
Let's finish Collision. I might need another drink for that. Let's finish Collision first.
So, Collision, CM Punk has his moment. Sits there, calls out Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks comes out, sits there and says, I don't know why you still have that belt. It should be mine. I've already beaten you twice. I don't know why you're sitting there. And it's like, because nobody's beaten me for the title. And it's like, but I beat you twice. You're saying, and in fact, I did physically beat you after you brought that bag out. So kind of technically I should be the guy.
And part of we discussed part of the Hills is that they're telling the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they believe they're right.
Yes.
Not always telling the truth, but they believe what they are doing is right. Yes. And by the way, the MJF thing, I know I'm kind of flip-flopping a little bit. The MJF thing, where and he said it on Dynamite, not on Collision, but his whole thing of being like,
I have ADD.
I'm
still a douchebag. He pretty much said, I'm still an asshole, but I'm your asshole.
My favorite thing was when Adam Cole gives him a hug and you see Roderick Strong throw a dish in the back.
And then fucking the OG, the Kingdom came up to him. ROH. He's like, oh, look at Adam Cole leaving his friends again. Adam Cole left, fucked the Kingdom over.
Well, Adam Cole has fucked Roddy Strong over. Yes. He did it in NXT. Yes.
So I'm wondering. So looks like Roddy might be partnering up with them.
And unfortunately, it's because Roddy always falls down the line. Yeah. And it's the same thing as Kyle O'Reilly. How many times back in the day when me and Jason would be watching something, I would sit there and go, I love Kyle O'Reilly, especially, you know what, the Kyle O'Reilly versus Finn Balor matches in NXT. And I sat there and I said, I love Kyle O'Reilly, but he looks like a dog that ran into a parked car. He's never going to be world champion. Oh, you know who it is. It's Chris Barrett. Y'all be waking up in can jail. I don't know. Con jail, maybe? I think that's what he meant, con jail. But that's the way I've always felt about guys like Roddy. Roddy is absolutely one of the best wrestlers in the world. Daniel Bryan, one of the best wrestlers in the world. Bryan Danielson, at this point, how many big matches has he missed? He missed the first Forbidden Door. He's going to miss All In. He's going to miss All Out.
Was he at Blood and Guts?
No, he's got a broken arm or whatever. Like, every time we turn around, he's got an injury, and most of them obviously have been because of his fucking head.
Collision. So I want to talk about the end of the tag match.
Well, we got to talk about the tag match.
So MJF sacrifices himself for Cole, and then he goes for that DDT. He fucking misses it. He gets rolled up. He loses. He's in the corner,
and he says, "I fucked up.
I messed up." And then he stood, and
Adam Cole sits there, and
Adam Cole goes, "No, you didn't. No, you're still a champ." And took him the belt. He turned to the crowd, and he must have felt MJF behind him because he's like,
that's exactly
ahead.
what it was. He's like, I
do.
know what you're gonna do.
Do
Go
what you
ahead
gotta
and
do.
do what you gotta do.
And MJF threw the belt down.
And for the first time, a wrestler felt the crowd, realized that the crowd was cheering instead of booing, turned around and was like, I can't believe what you just did. And then ran up and then gave him a hug. And it was like Kane and Daniel Bryan hugging for the first time. Because I mean they were gonna say hug it out, hug it out, hug it out.
What you think of that?
I love it. It's gold.
So so is MJF gonna go babyface now, or does he go back to being the asshole at Wembley?
See, that's
Because he's done this before. He's like,
because all along, even in these moments, he's still sitting there saying,
I'm a douchebag.
I got some devil worshippers out there.
Yeah.
And they're all cheering. And you're like, God damn it. This guy's going to do it again. And the only thing that makes me think he might not is because of what you said earlier, which is CM Punk the heel now? And CM Punk should play the heel.
And he'd be a monster heel. And I think MJF would be because he's so good. Remember, we talked about this. You got to light yourself on fire as a heel. So when you flip and become a face, they're even more behind you. So he's going to be the top baby face in AEW right now. And I think Punk could be that top heel if they play it right.
So here's where I worry about it. And sorry, we're gonna go long. And I apologize, but it's big, right? Especially when we're talking about MJF, we're talking about CM Punk, we're talking about the two different AEW World Championships,
Right.
which were both on the TV show on Saturday this week.
Yes. I had to think about it. Yeah.
The Triple B
and
CM Punk pulled it out of the bag and spray painted it this week. They were both on
NWO style.
I'm okay with that. Although knowing that the Outcasts had already spray painted shit kind of deterred it a little bit. However, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a belt come out that actually has like white tape stripes on it for the straight edge.
Okay.
Or just creating a completely new belt that CM Punk brings down that has the straight edge symbol on it. Because obviously, if they're going to do a Triple B belt for MJF, they can do another belt for CM Punk. The MJF stuff has been gold. The problem is the same thing that I think Vince McMahon would have done in WWE, which is Tony Khan already has a plan. He wants to execute that plan. So if that plan was Adam Cole versus MJF for 3 months to build up to a pay-per-view match, he's now done that. Which means immediately after that match, we move on to the next thing.
Well, you know that Vince plans shit a year out. He starts.
No. Vince
he goes like they after WrestleMania or up the WrestleMania, they've got a skeleton of what they want.
Royal Rumble or WrestleMania is always planned out. Everything else, if Vince McMahon changes his mind 1 week to the next, you're off TV.
Okay.
You could be world champion one day and you're off TV the next week. And unfortunately, when it comes to Tony Khan, I feel the same way. Not to that extent. He would never just say, well, Adam Cole's off TV next week. But he would sit there and go, well, the 4 pillars all had their match. Now we're going to put Jungle Boy in an FTW match. We're going to put Sammy Guevara back in a tag team. And we're going and we're gonna have Darby Allin sit there and lose matches to just random people.
I had a question about Collision too, because now, if you're just a Collision, so is Collision a show within itself? Because what worries me,
That's not the case though.
but check it out though. What worries me and what I hope Tony Khan does not do. So CM Punk never got beat for that belt. He brought it back. Fucking Thunder Rosa.
Never got beat for a belt.
And it's coming back to Collision. You know what I mean? I hope she doesn't pull the same shit. So now you got CM Punk with his belt that he never lost. Thunder Rosa comes out with her belt that she never lost. So now we've got 2 women's champions and 2 men's champions. You see what I'm saying? I thought about that Saturday. I'm like, I hope the fuck they don't do that.
I do see what you're saying, and here's what I'll say about it. Thunder Rosa's belt, the interim, everything else ended up, like, at this point, I mean, she's been out a year.
CM Punk was out about a year.
He wasn't, though, because he beat Jon Moxley.
He was out to get 9 months. You might as well say it was a year.
But he beat Jon Moxley, and then the whole shit hit the fan, so they took the belt off of him. So then they held the tournament, which Jon Moxley won, which then Moxley lost to.
They did the same thing with Thunder Rosa.
No, they had the interim championship for a while. But
that was another belt. Thunder Rosa never. I don't think she gave up the belt.
No, she didn't. She didn't. And if they wanted to do that, I'm okay with it. But here's the thing: the Collision and Dynamite thing. Now, first of all, Dynamite 200 was Wednesday, right? You know what? Let's just
hit it. Yeah.
Let's just hit Dynamite. Dynamite 200 was Wednesday. Everybody should have been allowed to show up. CM Punk should have been on that show. Like, if you're really trying to go after the best possible ratings, is Shida versus Toni Storm the match you want to have closing out?
That was a good match.
It was. And Shida's a great wrestler. But I don't give a fuck about her.
Okay.
And yet she won the match. She's now the women's world champion.
I think they did that because, again, she was champion but she was champion during COVID. So she didn't get to wrestle with the belt, just like Drew McIntyre. She never got to wrestle in front of fans. I think that's they were trying to give her.
But the problem is, I don't think the fans are into her.
Fans are into her.
Into her, yes, but is it going to drive ratings?
We'll see.
Well, I guess
you got to try something. You can't just, he's experimenting. He's throwing spaghetti on the wall to see what sticks. You know what I'm saying?
Spaghetti on the throwing shit against the wall is what you really mean.
So, I mean,
turning shit into shinola.
See, that's the thing, Vincent. I mean, and granted, WWE works, but they're not experimenting enough to me sometimes. They're using the same people.
No,
at least AEW is trying to use different. You know what I mean? They're trying different shit.
Well, I mean, WWE does because they obviously are putting the tag team championships from NXT on the family. They've moved the SmackDown Women's Championship around multiple times.
Well, you know what I mean, though.
I do. And again, it's tough because, like, your 200th show, which means 4 years of running that program, why aren't you putting all the titles on the line?
I agree. That 200 they should have. They should have.
If you really want to sit there and go, we're going all out, right? That all out, right? Like pay-per-view on TV.
Yes.
But no. I do it. I want to ask you because I didn't see it. Jericho, Takeshita versus Garcia and Sammy.
You didn't watch that match?
I didn't.
Fuck. So it was a good match, but at the end, Callis hit Guevara. I forget what he hit him with. It was something else, like a chair. I don't know if it was a chair. It was something. He knocked him out. Jericho looked at him like, "The fuck are you doing?" But he pinned Guevara anyway. And that's why damn Fat Matt Hardy came up to him and said, "Mandatory JS meeting, and you're going to be there."
I did see that.
Yeah.
What do you think you're doing?
No,
We're going to have a...
He didn't even do the voice. He was that pissed. He didn't do the voice. He came up to him and said, mandatory. I mean, it was his regular voice, mandatory JAS meeting, and you're going to be there. I was like, oh shit, he didn't use the voice. So that's
because normally he's like, we're gonna do this match thingy that we're doing.
He didn't. I was like, oh,
fuck. Like I always think that he's like a white Sammy Davis Jr.
Oh yeah.
Like, we're gonna do this. Yeah.
So does that mean that Jericho is now with Callis? You know, I'm like, what the fuck?
I think what it means. First of all, okay. So this is what it means. Sammy Guevara has been on a babyface turn for a while, even though he needs to get Tay-Mello off of TV.
She wasn't on this week, so I think they.
No, but she had her super tight leather pants on last week.
She'll probably be on next week in the JAS meeting.
And she probably will. I could see Jericho leaving, getting kicked out, and then the whole group going, if anybody else wants to leave, you go ahead and you do it right now. And then all of a sudden he goes, I like this hat, and he goes with Jericho. I could see Jake Hager leaving.
Really?
I could, because they're the two WWE guys in the group, right? The rest of the group I could see staying together and actually becoming like, I don't know what they'd call
Dark Order. But anyway.
No, I think Sammy is building to something. The problem is that since losing the 4 Pillars match, none of the 4 Pillars are anywhere near the World Championship.
So let's talk about one of the 4 Pillars. Don't call me Jungle Boy, Jack Perry. So he calls out Jerry Lynn, bring your old ass out. So
one of a kind!
No, not yet. Jerry Lynn comes out and he goes, you know what? He said, I came out there and
do you want me to make you another one?
Yeah, because I might be here now. He goes, he's like, you know what?
No, that's fine.
He's like, if I come out there right now and beat you, it'll be child abuse. And so I'm like, that's dumb. He said, but you know, they wanted to clear me because I got the steel plate on my neck and the screws. So I can't even fight you if I want to. But I know somebody who can still go. And he's also a ECW original. Now, at that point, the fans started
Taz.
No, they started yelling. If you go back and listen, they were saying RVD.
Really?
So I don't know how the fuck they knew.
They must have known he was backstage.
But RVD comes out, crowd loses his mind, and I can't tell if RVD, because he had that baggy shirt.
Whether or not he's in shape or not.
Yeah, because he looked kind of.
I love the fact that you're sitting there going, I couldn't tell if he was in shape or not.
He looked kind of chunky under that damn tie-dye.
Well, he looked very. I mean, he's looked like this, like chunky like me for a while. But he's still
probably in range. He's probably still. He can still go.
He's still yoga, you know.
And the reason why, when you know they came in the ring and Jungle Boy, he got in the ring in Jungle Boy's face, and Jungle Boy, you thought he was leaving, and Jungle Boy came to that chair, he fucking hit that spin kick, and it's right here, Jungle Boy's, and I'm like, that motherfucker still got hops and still flexible as fuck.
You know what's crazy about that? Is ECW was 94 to 98.
That's over 30 years ago.
It's almost 30 years ago. And I'm not saying that these guys can't still go. You know, obviously Jericho's in his 50s. Lance Storm's in his 50s.
If Jerry Lynn didn't have the shit, he's still in good shape too. If he gets, you know what I'm saying? He didn't have the.
But you know, there's talk that there's an RVD experience for WrestleMania weekend with WWE. And now he's signed to AEW. So I guess that's getting canceled.
Unless they gave permission to do a one-off.
It's going to be the Spike Dudley.
Because I don't think
it's going to be the Spike Dudley experience.
I think this might be a one-off because I think, and I wonder if Vince is like, oh, go ahead. It's just a one because I don't think
probably under a Legends contract, which allows him to wrestle for other promotions. Probably got his lawyer involved, made sure that it was okay. I mean, we're not talking about we're not talking about someone from the FBI, what was his name? Vito. Vito. Yeah, it's probably not. It's not like Vito where it's like, oh yeah, I can go ahead and I can do this. Like they had to check it. So
speaking real quick, speaking of
no, go ahead.
WWE real quick. The news came out that Vince apparently had surgery and his spinal surgery and is out.
Well, that's one of the Vince McMahon statements. We'll move on. We'll move on. We'll put this up here. WWE announced their financials for the quarter. And what I thought was interesting was their financials, like I saw it, almost all of them were down year over year. But then when they announced them, like physically announced them, so last year they did like 397 million in this quarter. It's big numbers, man. Like that's over a third of $1 billion.
Yeah.
This year they did 410 million. All their numbers that they actually announced on their shareholder call were up.
Right.
And they were up good.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we're talking 7 to 15% on everything. And that's with Triple H in charge, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I thought was interesting, and I stated this on our Facebook page ahead of time, was that the numbers that they looked like they were going to announce showed that all of those numbers were down compared to the Vince McMahon numbers. They were not. However, that's not the important thing here, Tino.
Okay, that's the important thing.
The important thing was that you mentioned that Vince McMahon was out with back surgery,
right?
Which he was. However, did you hear the other Vince McMahon news? The FBI issued a subpoena.
I heard something about what for though?
For all the sexual misconduct.
Still? I thought that was done.
No. Now it is a federal investigation.
He's gonna beat it like he did the steroids.
He is one of the very so the federal government, folks. Total earnings exceeded predictions by 1.8%. Correct. A lot of people think that the federal government loses cases all the time. They do not. They win 97% of their cases. WWE has been one of those cases that they did not win. Jerry McDevitt is probably the best lawyer to have for any case. He's still their lawyer.
Oh shit! I don't know what they're gonna do when he dies.
Yeah, me neither. Because I don't know if they'll ever win a case again. But that dude wins every case. Anyways, but Vince McMahon was officially issued a subpoena.
Oh fuck.
From the FBI. So they are fully investigating him at this point. And how did they let him back in? How did he get back in if they knew they were going to be investigated by the FBI?
I don't know if they knew.
Dude, they were always worried about this.
Okay, so now so no more Vince and creative.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, while
alone.
I would think while he's out with back surgery, he's probably still calling stuff in. Hey, Hunter, let's go ahead and call Dominic Dirty Dom.
No, I think he just
my back hurts.
He just needs to just.
He needs to go away.
Yes,
but not gonna happen.
Maybe it's FBI shit. He'd be too busy with that.
There was something else that I wanted to mention that I just forgot.
Oh.
Anyways, I'm not gonna. You know what? we need to jump into SummerSlam predictions.
Yeah, so let's do this. I'm gonna stop because they started at the top, so I'm gonna have to go to the bottom.
Go to the bottom.
All right,
We start at the bottom. Now we're here.
Yeah, SummerSlam Battle Royal, which Justin's okay.
LA Knight,
which is just an excuse because people were pissed, and I'm one of them. He didn't win the U.S. tournament, so they're gonna let him win this to try to give us something back.
Well, he might lose this, but if he loses it in a way where he's the last guy thrown out, well, can I?
They even said LA Knight wins.
Can I talk about real quick? When we all wanted Daniel Bryan to win the Royal Rumble right before WrestleMania 30, who ended up being the number 30 entrant?
Ray.
And who won the match against LA Knight to determine who was going to go after the United States title?
Ray. I don't have any more soda. Can you give me one of those?
One of these?
Yeah.
You have. Yeah.
I don't have more soda. But yeah, Ray.
How do you think, like Triple H has even said on record, I felt so bad for Rey Mysterio coming out at number 30, knowing that everybody wanted Daniel Bryan. And yet, what the fuck does he do? He sits there and has Rey Mysterio go over when everybody, and I mean
everybody,
is sitting there saying, L.A. Knight.
With everybody's singing.
Let me talk to you.
So, yeah.
So
that's LA Knight's match to win.
Or it's LA Knight's match to lose.
I think so.
Come on, man. Look at that. Look at what you did. Look at this.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, my God. I can't even twist it off because you twisted it wrong.
Weekly.
I fixed it.
All
right. So LA Knight, yes. Yeah.
Ronda and Shayna MMA rules.
Oh, I didn't even talk about this package that they put together on Raw.
Awesome.
They said that it was Jeremy Borash and Paul Heyman were the two that put those packages together.
It was fucking phenomenal, dude.
It's the best build-up that they have done for a women's match like ever.
And Ronda was, Shayna, the way she's done, I was at her house just to be her punching bag. Her whole, I was like, fuck. Because I didn't know that backstory. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, shit.
And yet, immediately, who's the babyface now? Shayna. Because she did everything to help Ronda get to where she was, and Ronda never helped her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think Ronda puts Shayna over.
Yeah. Because Ronda's leaving.
That doesn't mean she gets put over. That doesn't mean that. That means Shayna does the favors sometime.
Yeah, but I think
you got to look at the legend status versus.
I think Ronda puts her over because Shayna needs that push.
I could see. Okay. I agree. I think Shayna should win this match. But I could see Ronda putting her in an armbar, Shayna losing the match, and then Shayna going outside and grabbing a chair and beating Ronda Rousey down to where she sits there and puts her in the
Kimura.
No, not the Kimura. What's her finishing submission hold?
That's Kimura where she chokes her out, right?
No, the Kimura's the armbar.
I understand the one she chokes her out.
Yeah, the Tazahajime is, I think, what it actually is. And I could see her doing that and having all of the people sit there and like trying to grab her and pull her off and her kicking them away and doing whatever and just holding Ronda in that until you see Ronda have to be stretchered out.
Yep.
And I could see that.
Yep.
Because here's the question. Do they want Shayna to be a babyface going forward? Or do they want her to be the Queen of Spades?
I think they want her to be both. And I think she can be both.
she's going to be a really tough baby face to push because she's such a badass.
But I think she can do it. Okay. Because I want to see her against Rhea.
Sure. But Rhea's going to be babyface before too long. They're going to turn Rhea babyface because people want to cheer her. When she turns on Dom, nobody's going to boo her ever again.
No, I don't think she's going to turn on Dom. I think Dom's going to turn on her. And they'll still make her babyface. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
I think Dom's going to, because she's always, who's always getting him in the fights? Dom's a chicken shit heel.
Well, you saw him this week, though. He actually sat there and just put his head on her shoulder. And I was like, that right there.
I think she puts him in one too many situations, and he's like, "Fuck you, bitch." Or you know what I'm saying? I think I see him turning on her.
We're away, but we're a ways away from that.
His head gets so big, I don't need you. I can see that happening too.
Or other women actually start coming up to him saying that they want to be near him.
Yep,
I could see that.
I see him turning on her.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Gunther and McIntyre now.
Whew.
As much
Gunther
as I
wins.
want Drew to win, yeah. As much as I want to see Drew win.
Do you know why?
Because he's not too far away from breaking the record for holding that belt. So they're not going to take it off of him yet.
I bet that India match, that the pay-per-view that they just said that they are now doing, the premium live event that they're now doing in India, I bet it's after that date.
He loses.
And that's when he loses.
Okay. But as SummerSlam.
And by the way,
who the fuck he lose to, though?
But we didn't talk about it. Fucking Chad Gable this Monday night sitting there against him, looking like a fucking beast.
That was a good match. I'm wondering if they're doing if Chad Gable's the one that beats him for it. Later, like
down the road.
They come back to it.
The fuck?
I don't know.
It's like I have a moth in the house.
Ricochet and Logan Paul. Again, as
Logan Paul wins.
Fucking hate it, yes.
But you know what? He needs a win. Mm-hmm. How many matches in a row has he lost?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, Logan Paul.
All right. Here it is. Asuka, Charlotte, Bianca. This thing has Asuka winning.
I think Asuka wins, but I think Bianca goes full out heel. I think Bianca beats her down to where that's how Io Sky comes down and takes the belt.
Yes. I say that Io cashes in. Some people are saying...
she's been saying it all along. I'm cashing in at SummerSlam.
And I read where people were like, she cashes in, but she loses. But I don't think so. I think there's that tension right now with her and Bayley. I think she cashes it in and Bayley turns on her. And that's going to make Io... face, because they're starting to cheer Io whenever they come down. They're starting to cheer Io, and they've already got. Think about how she won the Money in the Bank.
No, I'm with you.
She fucking turned on Bayley, handcuffed her to the fucking thing.
I'm with you, but what if her and Bayley come running down, and as Io actually tries to cash in, Bayley turns on Io.
I've heard that. That's how she cashes, but she didn't. Yeah.
And by the way, no woman has ever lost a cash in.
Yeah, I hate that.
No, I love that. I think
I love that no woman's ever won a cash in, but I hate that it might be.
I hate that the men is down to like 83% winning percentage now. Like that should be a guaranteed victory. I don't care if you're fucking if you're Otis with the fucking Money in the Bank. You should have a guaranteed.
Yeah.
I'm getting that title.
Yeah. Okay. So
fucking Earthquake had the world title.
So who walks out of SummerSlam with the belt? I'm saying Io.
Fuck, dude. Not Charlotte.
No.
I do think Bianca turns heel.
Yes.
Like straight up.
Yeah.
Full on.
I think her and Charlotte continue their thing.
I agree. I think it might be the best Charlotte feud not going for the title because she's never had a big time feud not going for the title except for Trish Stratus. No.
That was a good feud, but I think I say in with Trish because she is a legend where she's not.
So she doesn't need the belt.
You know,
but that's
yes.
Like at this point, Charlotte needs to stay away from the world title.
Yes.
She needs to be a special attraction.
And I think for now, Bianca needs to stay away from it. She will eventually get back to it. I think for now, they need.
Well, Oscar
need
versus
fresh.
Io has money written all over it.
Dude. I don't understand what the fuck they're saying in the promos.
No, they need to start putting fucking like captions on that shit.
But as far as in-ring work, that'd be awesome.
They need fucking captions.
Yeah.
But I want to say Oscar gets out of there, but I like your idea. Although the whole Bailey thing. Fuck.
Well, Bailey's hurt too right now.
She is. I don't think Bailey's going to.
And plus Bailey's getting ready. She's getting ready to do that thing with Shotzi.
You know what? I like Io. Let's do Io. We'll go Io.
All right. So
it's a tough one, but I'm with you.
Seth and Finn.
God damn it.
Finn. Because he's already lost to Seth for that title.
Yeah.
I say Finn. Now I don't know if
Damian
cashes in. That's another wild card. I think Finn wins.
Damn it, man.
Okay, here's what I think. I think Finn wins. And then there's the whole Judgment Day, will he, won't he cash in on Finn? You know what I mean? I think they play up on that. So I think Finn walks out. I don't think Damian cashes in tomorrow. I think that or SummerSlam. I think they
tease it.
Yes. But I think Finn walks away with that belt. I
don't think we can have two cash-ins on the same show.
Yes, and that's why I just said that. So they're gonna save that Damian, and will they? Because Finn's already suspicious of Damian, so I think they play that angle.
Is Finn gonna be the demon?
No. I think he's gonna come out,
even though they haven't announced that he's gonna be the demon.
I don't think he'll be the demon. And I think now with Judgment Day holding all the belts except for
it's the belts and the
exactly. And so Priest is the only one that doesn't have one. So I think and then Finn, his paranoia, you know what I'm saying, pushes him further away because you said you think Finn's gonna split? There it is.
Oh, there we are.
So
okay.
Yes. So I think only one cash in, that's Io. And I think they further play on the mind games of Damian and Finn.
So since I think that the most logical move after SummerSlam is Cody versus Damian Priest, maybe even Cody going after the Money in the Bank.
We can do that, and then he can go face Roman.
Well, he can face whoever he wants, right? But and there's been a lot of talk about like, what if Cody were to win? Go say, I'm going to go up against Finn Balor, who's a heel, to win that title, only to sit there and say, now I'm going to go against Roman so that I can combine the titles again. I don't like that idea. I like the idea of Cody saying, let me go after a way to get that belt off of Roman.
He's already said in interviews that's not the title to finish the story.
Sure.
Roman has the title to finish the story.
And so I know
he can hold, this is August, he can hold that shit till WrestleMania, I guess.
Well, my opinion to the Cody Rhodes scenario, because Cody should beat Brock.
Yes. And that's the next match.
Right. When it comes to this, I like the idea of Cody versus Damian Priest, getting the mind off of Damian Priest going after the world title right now.
And but again, and that's what I was about to say. I like Cody holding that, and you forget, not that you forget because he's going to have it. but you forget you're so interested in Cody, and all of a sudden, Roman's in a vulnerable situation, and then there's more than one family. You know what I'm saying? And then fucking he comes out with that fucking case. You're like, oh, like I think it was Edge that had it, and you really kind of forgot about it because he held it for the whole fucking year, and then he came out and beat Cena. Remember?
Yeah. So a lot of people really are worried that Cody's not going to keep this heat and keep this fire that he's got behind him that long. And the real question is, who does he go against next? Now, I could see him losing against Damian Priest trying to win the Money in the Bank. And that means that he goes, well, now I've only got one chance, and it's the Royal Rumble. And you can see him keeping his heat that way. And I think that works. So, to your question, who wins at SummerSlam? I need Finn Balor.
He's gonna win.
I want Finn Balor. For some reason, I don't see it happening.
I'm going fancy. You're going Seth.
Don't want to.
Okay, so you Seth, I'm Finn. I'm going Finn.
I really want Finn Balor to win.
Got it. So who you going with?
Let's go Finn Balor. But I'm gonna throw stuff when he doesn't win.
All right. So Cody and Brock, since we said Cody.
It's gotta be.
It's gotta be Cody.
However, I could see Cody losing.
I don't think he loses again.
I could see him losing because.
Well, if he loses against Brock, then he goes against Damon. He's got to win the fucking.
So
you just said you're worried about Cody losing this.
But no. But hold on. Right now, nobody likes Brock, although everybody likes Brock.
Right.
Cody losing to Brock really doesn't hurt Cody, and here's why. Cody needs to go through hard times.
He's not Dusty.
No, but he does. If he wants to win the belt that Dusty never got, did you watch the?
I have not. I'm gonna watch it tomorrow. I'll watch it tomorrow.
It's good. It's
I've
real
got it
good.
saved.
And they have so many pieces of Dusty Rhodes talking about Cody.
Dude, I love Dusty. Dusty is my favorite wrestler of all time.
But it's obvious that it's Dusty at the end.
Yeah.
Anyways, Cody doesn't need to beat Brock.
Okay.
And Brock doesn't need to win. But Cody doesn't need to beat Brock. Cody needs to go through where everybody's like, God, is he ever going to win again? Like, how's he ever going to actually finish the story if he keeps losing? Right? At the same time, Cody wins.
So Cody
wins.
And then the
Am I right? Am I wrong?
I see what you're saying, but Cody's going to win. All right, so last match. We know you know who's going to win. Fucking Roman. We're not even going to fucking.
Solo Sikoa is going to win this match.
It's Roman. So that's SummerSlam.
Well, Solo Sikoa is going to win. Right there.
All right.
Right there.
Either way, the belt ain't going nowhere.
The belt ain't going nowhere.
So there it is. And it's.
If they had done this as a regular WWE match, and it was for the title, and it was for the beads, and they had a moment where they could have Roman get disqualified, and Jay would win the beads, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
And I even said earlier tonight with a group of people, I was like, if this was 3 years ago when they first started calling him main event Jey Uso, I believe he could beat Roman. But now, he's literally 3 years with one pinfall loss in a tag team match.
Yeah.
And even that, backstage, they fought over whether or not Roman should lose that match.
Who's not losing the match? So the show's over.
Does Jimmy Uso turn on Jay?
No. I see Jimmy coming back. Maybe he's the next challenger for Roman. They're going to feed the Roman, but they've got to keep this bloodline story going somehow. So I think Jimmy will come back like, you put me out. I think that we saw the combination Spear and Spike. I think that pushed Jay out, which brings Jimmy back. So to keep it going. So now
The older
Jay's
brother
out.
now.
Yeah, now Jay's out. Now Jimmy's coming back. Like, okay, bitch.
I mean, that's interesting. I always thought that the next place to go, not even with the match that they're doing, would have been a triple threat.
Yeah.
Jimmy, Jay, Roman.
And maybe they get to that, but
It would have made sense at the second biggest pay-per-view of the year.
I think next step's Jimmy, though. I agree with you, but I think next step's Jimmy.
You know what I think could possibly happen? And I haven't said this anywhere else before. I haven't talked to anybody about it. Haven't said it. I'm going to tell you right now. So Survivor Series, what does Triple H like to do? War games, right?
Right.
What if? So Jay loses because Jay's losing. Jay is losing.
He's losing.
What if, for one night only, the bloodline has to get back together? Hear me out. They wrestle in matches to get themselves a place in the Survivor Series War Games match, right? Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Solo Roman, and someone else, right? So, because you always have 5-on-5.
I think there are other brothers coming up soon.
I mean, he's with MLW right now, and there's another one. So, I mean, there's two more that could, or at least two cousins. But what if on the Raw side, you have KO, Sammy, Cody, Seth, and somebody.
Okay.
All right? So you have your 5 on that one side. And then fighting their way in, all of a sudden, you have that moment at Survivor Series where the entire bloodline's back together and they're all yelling at each other because none of them want to work together, and yet they have to.
I can see this too because they did it on NXT. If the other thing you said, Jay's getting ready to come out, Jimmy slams the fucking door on him and turns on him there.
Sure. But you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden you have that. Like if you want to continue the bloodline story, and by the way, WWE, you guys have stolen our ideas I don't know how many times in the past. But if you really want to continue and you want to get all the way up to Royal Rumble when you know Cody's going to win the Royal Rumble so he can go against Roman to finally win the belt,
I can see that.
You can start playing up the fact that these guys are all going to fight for their way into the SmackDown portion of the War Games match. And then all of a sudden, they all have to deal with each other. They implode. And there's one other, maybe LA Knight.
Okay.
And could you imagine LA Knight being the one that's sitting there like, the hell are you doing here? The hell are you doing here? Why don't you all just get together and have a fun time?
Wait. Bloodline LA Knight. The team you just said, their 5th member, Logan Paul.
I mean, Logan Paul probably wants to be in a War Games match. Let's be real.
And that could kick off. Well, that's the only time.
Let me talk to you, Tino.
I would love to see Logan in LA. And I think that's the one time they could do it.
I mean, or Pat McAfee. Just randomly throw Pat McAfee on that Raw team. I don't know how he gets in there, but let me talk to you.
Corey Graves. Because you've been talking about Corey Graves. So.
I think they want to do a Corey Graves versus Pat McAfee match. At some point.
Said that, and you're like, no.
No. I agree with you, but they really have to get to it. But
or they could put McAfee and Corey. Corey's on the Raw team. McAfee's on the SmackDown team.
I don't think they would do that just randomly.
That would be fucking awesome.
But it would be funny if all of a sudden Paul Heyman's the 5th member of the team.
So Paul Heyman. Fucking MVP. MVP come out with his cane.
Well, I don't know what the plan is, but that's what I'm saying. Is like you want to continue this bloodline thing, and you actually want to give like a little like scratching at like the that's how you do it. You sit there and have them have to work together, even though they don't want to. Like you have them sit there and have Adam Pearce sit there and tell Jimmy and Jay, you want your chance at the Universal Tag Team Championships again? We know that you don't have that heat with KO and Sammy anymore, but you want that opportunity?
Yes.
You got to win War Games.
I agree.
Or like Jimmy, you want an opportunity at your cousin at the December pay-per-view? You got to win War Games. Like force them to really love that moment. Anyways,
let's wrap it up because it's It's 5:10. How long have we been on this thing?
At 2:20.
Let's get out of here.
All right.
So those are our predictions. We'll see if we were right, and let you guys know next show. Now I think next show, then we say we're going to try to have Shavar on. Isn't that what we told him?
I mean, we'll try. We can't guarantee it because obviously the dude's got 300,000 followers on TikTok.
We can use the rub.
Well, we can definitely.
Yeah. So, that's the show, folks. Because I want to hear this punchline of this joke in your magazine before I leave.
The punchline
to the joke in the comic that you were talking about.
Oh God!
I want to hear this. So,
it's not funny. It's not funny. I don't think.
Oh well. If you don't think it's funny, I don't know.
Anyways, why don't you go ahead and give
all right, so you can catch me on the Twitter. I'm fucking Hoodie Fan 91.
He doesn't remember.
Instagram, I got that SC Tino. On the Twitter, we're Potsy and Tino. On Facebook, we're the Potsy and Tino Show. You can catch us here each and every week. We want to say thank you to Adam's House Cats for our theme song, the wrestling song. You can get that on iTunes for 99 cents. 99. Oh, your turn.
Twitter at Potcheck. Facebook at Rob Potcheck. At TikTok Rob Potsy Potcheck. Insta, both Rob Potsy Potcheck and Rob Potcheck. And of course, the YouTube, which we are on right now, at Rob Potcheck. With that said, folks, Threads at Rob Potcheck.
I'm still SC Tino. Yeah.
SC Tino. Yes, it's owned by Facebook, so won't ever challenge.
Oh, forgot. Pee Wee.
You know what?
You got to do the 10 bell salute or 10.
Do we?
Nah. You want to do a 10-second moment of silence?
We are gonna give a 10-second moment of silence.
Because I was sending you all the TikToks I was saying for Pee Wee, man.
To Paul Rubens. Even though he had that moment of shame.
Yes. He was still
he made his way back from all of that.
Yes, he fucking did. So
at 71 years old, he
71 or 70. I think it was 70. He didn't make 71.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, 10 seconds for Pee Wee Herman.
Good night, folks.
Good night, everybody.
I am the greatest thing going.